All right, here we go, day 27. Here we go. We got Jared in the house. Come on, Jared, let's go, buddy. We're pulling for you. We know you're gonna get to the Olympics. Boom, let's get that, make that happen. Let's do it. All right, people. Today is day 27. How about that? We are quickly approaching our goal of 30 days. That's crazy. Seems like we just started it, doesn't it? Doesn't it seem like we just made that happen? Gotta turn that off. That guy's blowing in my face pretty strong. All right. Day 27. Here we go. How is your internal locus of control today? Is it strong? Is the eye of your hurricane strong? If it's not, check your levels. Is your fire stoked? You got that critical eye locked down in a hole? Keep them locked down in a hole. You got your schedule aligned? Check those 3 things, okay? Strengthen that internal locus of control so you can push your hurricane of your life where you want it to go. All right. Don't forget a couple of announcements. We got our Get Your Paper Wet. We're going to start our watercolor 30 days. Day 0 is going to be on the 28th. Now, day 0 is the first introduction day. You know, that's why it's day 0. We're going to talk shop, do all that kind of stuff. So it's kind of a buffer day for you to get ready. We did a day 0 as well with the sketchbook, and a lot of people just jumped on board, and that was awesome. So let's go with that, okay? If you have any questions about anything, throw it down in the comments or throw me a DM on X. We'll shoot you back. I'm still trying to make that Discord. I'm going to get that set up for everybody. Give the community a place to kind of put resources. So you know what to get, what not to get, you know, all that kind of stuff. You can talk, hey, this paper sucks, that paper's good, I'm having this problem, I can't get this to work. You know, I was trying to make some stickers and I can't get the cut line to work, and I'm trying to figure it out on the program and all this stuff, and I wish they had a place where I could just say, hey, what the hell is going on? So that's what we're going to do. We're going to have a place like that, okay? So get your supplies, get your little paints. They can be kids' paints, you know. Make sure they're the transparent watercolors, okay? Get yourself some watercolor paper. I was talking to somebody yesterday, and they were trying to get going with the watercolor already, trying to experiment with it, and they were just doing it in their sketchbook, and they were using regular paper. Now, you can use regular paper, but you have to be extremely careful with regular paper with the water. You have to use minimal water. So I don't recommend it at all. It's just going to make you frustrated. And really the effect that you can get is not going to be very good. Now the reason that is because watercolor paper is actually thicker paper, right? Like they use a thing called like 90 pound, 140 pound, or 300 pound. And that's the amount of pressure that they use to make the paper. Okay, so the higher the pressure, the thicker the paper, you know. And you need a thick paper because what watercolor does is when it's wet, it puts the pigments down into the paper, into the fibers of the paper. And then the water dries and leaves the pigments there. And that's how transparent watercolor works. So if you have really thin paper, there ain't no area for it to leave the pigment. It just gets wet, and then you get frustrated because nothing sticks. It doesn't work, and then you think you're a retard. You think you're stupid. You can't do watercolor. But nah. You just had the wrong paper, okay? So get the right paper. I recommend 90 pound paper or above. 90 pound is kind of cutting it close. 90 pound paper is the sketchbook paper, mixed media sketchbook paper that I use. But really you want 140 pound. But if you can't get it, 90 pounds okay, it'll work, okay? So get all that stuff together and let's have a good time then. All right. Now this Sunday Funday, we're going to have a party. For the 30-day completion. The 30 days is going to conclude on that Saturday. Then the Sunday after it's Sunday Funday. So we're going to have a little party. Okay? I already know what I'm going to make for the Sunday Funday. Do you know? It's going to be nice surprise. And then we're going to have a little sit down and have a little conversation about our 30-day experience. And you're going to have your sketchbook there. I want you to look back through your sketchbook. I want you to take note of how far you've come, of the growth that you've had over these past 30 days. I want you to acknowledge that. That's key. That's fundamental in your ability to create progress. a sense of accomplishment is very necessary, okay? Now, when we're children, we don't pay no attention to this because we accomplish things, seems like every month. There's a new something, something, something. Then you hit the adult world and nobody gives you credit for nothing, right? You're just out there doing your work and they say, oh, that's what you should have been doing. That's what you should have been doing. So you lose all that excitement. Well, we got to breathe that excitement back into the sails of our ship because we want our ship to go. We don't just want to stay docked for the rest of our lives. You hit 25, you hit 27, and that ship is docked. And then what, you just stay in dock until you're 90? Nah, man, we got to get to knock the sand off our tires and get back out there in the water. Okay, we're going to get going. We ain't going to be one of these people that just lives in their ship on the dock. There's some crazy people. We don't want to be like them. We want to be the other crazy people that are out there, like Homer's Iliad, out there on the water going to a new adventure. You know, we want to hear those sirens call. We want to fight the Medusa. We want to be out and about. Okay? So let's get out and about, people. All right. Now, I already said I'm going to try to make a Discord so that everybody can have a little bit of a community action. For those of you who don't know what Discord is, and don't worry if you don't, because I wasn't great on Discord either. It's just this free download thing that you can chat on the computer. It's like a message board, you know, all these chat rooms, and you can even do voice call and video call, and you can have groups get together and talk and all that kind of stuff. You can have pinned information for resources for all kinds of stuff, for videos, for lists, for whatever. So it's just kind of an easy, free way to create a meeting room or a group where there can be resources and conversations about the topic of artwork. That's what we're trying to do better. We're trying to get better in traditional artwork. That's what we're trying to do. Refine our mind. Okay? All right. Now, on Friday, I got another interview coming up. Okay? So I'm excited about that, and I think you'll be excited about it too. So I'm going to try to do that. I'd like to do it more than once a week, but right now I'm, doing all this stuff, trying to figure out how to balance it. We're going to do it on Fridays, and so this Friday I got another interview coming. Now, I don't know if you saw the last interview with Arvid Nelson. He was the creator of the Book of Crow. It was a great comic book. We talked to him. Well, we're going to talk to somebody else this Friday. And then next Friday, we're going to talk to somebody else, and so on and so forth. Now, if you have any ideas for people who you think I should be talking to, who you're interested in, bro, throw it down in the comments. Throw me a DM on X, let me know. My DMs are always open, okay? So shoot me a note. Follow me on X. Ray is happy. Let me know what's up. If you got some awesome person that should be talked to, I want to talk to them, okay? About creativity. That's what we're talking about here. Okay. All right, fantastic. Now, I wanted to slip in, that's all the announcements. Whew. That's a lot of fucking announcements. I wanted to slip in a little idea that I was thinking about. Now, I've been thinking about this idea for a long time. Okay? One of my pet hobbies is thinking about systems engineering. I love systems engineering, okay? And, that's interesting, right? So you think about the system, right? And how to create a system that you put an input into, and the system creates the output that you want, okay? And then you refine the system until you get the output that you want, all right? Now, I want to talk about, with relationship to us, two things. One thing is an indirect goal, and one thing is a direct goal, okay? What's a direct goal? A direct goal is like working out, okay? I want to get more muscles, so I'm going to go and I'm going to lift heavy things, okay? So I put my input into lifting heavy things, and I control how much my muscles grow, right? That seems pretty obvious, right? Now, an indirect goal is to say, I want to grow more apples, okay? You can't just go out in your backyard and pull apples out of wherever, out of the ground or whatever. You have to have an indirect goal, which is you have to do things through the system, and then the system is managed, and you count on the system itself to create the goal for you, okay? So in this sense, you go out back, you take a seed, you're like, I don't know how this happens, but I've been told I put the seed in the dirt, cover it up, and then water it a little bit every day, and And then from that seed, a little guy grows. And then I let time go by and I keep managing that system. And then at some point, it's going to make me apples. That's indirect. It's an indirect goal. Okay. So this is when I'm talking about happiness. What do you think happiness is? Is that a direct goal or an indirect goal? Can you go out there and get your hands on happiness? No, you can't. Happiness is an indirect goal. So you have to think about the system of your life and what you need to change in order to get that happiness out the other side. Okay? Now we've talked about the internal locus of control. That's your vehicle to start to maneuver and manipulate that system in your life so that you can get that happiness on the other side. All right? Because this isn't like just lifting weights. This is an abstract thought on how to control your life and how to get what you want out the other end. So first you have to think about what is it that makes me happy. We've talked about that. That's what stokes your fire. Okay? Then you have to think about how do I strengthen myself so that I can withstand the pressures. We've talked about that. That's keeping your critical eye locked in the hole. Keep them locked in the hole now. Then, how do I make the little tiny steps to get there? That's your schedule. Okay? All of that goes together to form your internal locus of control. Okay? So you stoke that. Now you have to understand, how do I use my internal locus of control on the system of my life to create the happiness that I want? So think about that. Okay, we'll talk more about it tomorrow, the next day, but think about that. That's pretty interesting. It's a very complex, abstract thought. And remember when I said that the simple shapes, that's the key to everything? Well, it's not the simple shapes themselves. It's that abstraction that you can create a simplified version of a more complex object. Shapes are just an example. You can have simplified values, which is how light or how dark something is. Instead of us seeing the whole gradient of the value system, we can just simplify it to light, medium, and dark, or light, mid-tone, and dark. Okay? We can do the same thing with color. We can simplify the color scheme. Instead of it being all these millions of colors, we can just say, you know, it's going to be a warm color and a cool color. That's the most simple right there. Okay? Everything in the light's warm, everything in the shadow's cool. No biggie. Okay? So, you can also simplify emotions, simplify goals, simplify everything, right? The simplified shapes is just one incident or one example of that concept of how to simplify a complex situation to achieve your goals. All right. I'll leave that there for now. We'll talk more about it later. I don't want to wear you out. I don't want to wear me out. I mean, come on. So what are we talking about today? Well, I'll tell you what, Professor Grass had a great idea. I really liked it. He already drew a character sheet. All right? He drew a character sheet with weapons and objects. So here's what I want you to do. Okay? Here is a fantastic book. Got it right here. Check this out. Didn't that look good? Now, this is the concept art of Bryce Coe. Now, Bryce Coe's all over the internet. You can check him out. He's on X. He's on Instagram. He's on all these places, okay? So here's an example of a character sheet with all kinds of stuff associated with that character. This guy's got a hood on. He looks like he's in the desert. He's got a falcon. He's got an hourglass. You know, he's got all kinds of potions. You know, it could be magic. I don't know, but it looks interesting. It tells a story. Okay. Now look at this one. Tells a different story. The woman's flying. She's got a flying device. She's got all kinds of other stuff. Now check this guy out. I knew you guys would like this. He's a wrestler. Now, isn't that cool? Now, of course, he's got all kinds. This is a thick ass book. He's got environments and everything in here, all kinds of stuff. But just for today, we're going to work on creating the character sheet. So make up a character, one fresh, or maybe one that you have, or maybe it's one of your favorites like Wolverine. And try to imagine the different objects that he might use or have. You know, maybe a healing kit. What would that look like? Maybe he has a weapon. What would that look like? He maybe has a melee weapon. What would that look like? Maybe he has an animal friend, a hawk, a raven, a bulldog. I don't know. What would that look like? And then draw your heart out. Have a good time, okay? Think of all the objects that he could probably have and then make it happen. Let's have some fun. Let's fly, okay? Let's get her done today. So I want you to get out there and have some fun. Enjoy yourself. All right, let's go.